We'll go. Good afternoon, everyone. Nyia Harris here for Open Book with Nyia Harris. I'm so excited to be here today and have two guests with me, Malcolm and Tom. Hello, how are you, gentlemen?
I am well. How are you, Malcolm?
I am doing well as well.
Oh, fantastic, fantastic. Well, like always, we were going to start with some pop culture and world events. I want to thank you for tuning into Power 104.7, your home for hip hop and R&B. So we were doing some searching, full disclosure. We were doing some searching before the show started here, trying to come up with some topics to talk about. And what we landed on was the White House renovation. So here's what we know, if you haven't been following this story. So there's a White House renovation that'll be happening. It is going to be the biggest renovation that has happened since the 1950s. This renovation is expected to be a 90,000 square foot ballroom designed to accommodate 650 guests. Total on the price tag there, just about $200 million. Ooh. What do you think?
It's a lot of money. It's money that, I don't know, Malcolm, I could see it spent elsewhere, but... You know, I'm not the one that can make that decision about what is needed in the White House.
Well, let me tell you this really quick, Tom, too. Something else I read, it said, as far as the funding goes, it says private Patriot donors will reportedly cover the $200 million price tag. Do you feel any differently about it, that it'll be private donors as opposed to taxpayers?
I'd still like to see the private donors help other individuals in this country.
Absolutely. I can think of better ways for $200 million to be spent, too.
Right now.
We'll get to that in a moment.
Okay.
What do you think? What do you think, Malcolm?
I think I share Tom's sentiments in regards to that, too. I think money could be better spent elsewhere. But I also look at it as an investment into the future, and I'm kind of playing devil's advocate here and saying at least the White House will be better renovated and somebody else can use it, consistent of another 4-year term of somebody else. So
correct. It's not something that he gets to take with him. It's, it's his stamp on the White House. Like I mentioned earlier, this is the biggest renovation since the 1950s. So the last renovation was actually the Truman balcony, which gets used quite a bit, right?
Exactly.
So
yep.
So yeah, shouldn't I theoretically the nicest home in America be up to snuff, right? So
absolutely.
Other renovations include, you were talking about this before we got on here, the Rose Garden, right? The White House Rose Garden has also seen renovations with the central grassy area being replaced by stone tiles. So we talked about that too.
That one actually hurts my heart because I've actually seen it and I'm still confused as to why it was paved over by cement. But again, there must be a reason for everything.
Yes.
Yeah. Well, you know what? If you can put it down, you can also pick it up too.
Yeah, exactly.
So we'll see what the next administration does.
Exactly.
But pivoting, how was your weekend, gentlemen?
Ooh, the weekend it's over?
It's yes, it's over.
It went so fast.
Yes, it is Monday.
I know. And,
do anything fun?
Well, right now we're so busy where I'm working right now. I had some things I wanted to catch up on. But
sure.
I do like what I do, so I like spending a little bit of time catching up on things. And then I do little things around my own place. So just to keep it clean, keep it straightened. I'm very kind of anal in that way. So
Okay. You like to be a little bit neat then.
I do.
Okay.
Yep.
I love that.
Tom's a workaholic. For me, I worked out a lot. It takes my mind off a lot of things, but I also love to spend time with family. My kids are eternally my life, so I did a lot of, reaching out to them and making sure things were good and we had fun. But the gym was where I spent most of my time, and then I also did a lot of work.
Oh, wow. Okay. All right. Well, I spent my weekend, I was in a fashion show. I was a model. So
Wow.
yeah, I was a model. This is like my 7th or 8th fashion show I've done this year, which is really fun. And then Sunday, I spent the day sleeping. I was like, nope, I'm going to just sit in front of the TV and watch Netflix and be in my pajamas and lounge. And it was glorious. So no complaints on my end here. We are winding down. Like, the summer is winding down. Can you believe it's already August?
I know.
I flipped the calendar on Friday. I'm like, August 1st. Just.
That's the way summer goes.
Yeah.
I mean, summer, as soon as summer begins in June.
Yeah.
July 1st is like, oh, it's almost over.
Yeah.
People say that. And you're like, no, try to enjoy the time while it's here.
Yeah.
Don't keep looking at it as though it's almost over.
Right.
We're still in the process. We still have the good weather. We still have a lot of things we can do with our families. So to me, keep going.
Yes, absolutely. Absolutely. And depending on the year, sometimes you can get into like early October and it's still nice, right?
Yes,
so
exactly.
Yeah, that's a great way to look at it. How about you, Malcolm?
The great Minnesota get together.
You're looking forward to that,
Absolutely not. No, I do not like
Why'd
a
you say
collection
it?
of too many people. It reminds me that summer's almost over.
Okay.
Whenever it's, I start to hear the pitter patter of like people saying it's time for the great Minnesota get together. I'm like,
Sure.
okay, summer's almost over.
Right.
I do love summer. It is obviously for the changing seasons in Minnesota. It makes for an exciting time to enjoy the heat and warmth before everything freezes over.
Yeah.
So that I'll be sad about when it goes. But to Tom's point, I try and enjoy absolutely everything. Walks outside, gym, activities with kids, fishing, whatever, right? Just make sure
All
you
the
make
things.
the best of it. Yep.
Yeah. Well, now you've got me thinking though, because you said the state fair, like now, or the Great Minnesota Get Together. I guess you didn't say the state fair, but you've got me thinking now, like, oh, okay, well, of course the topic is the food, right?
Yes.
Yes.
So I feel like we have to like at least talk about that for a second.
So, what's funny is that out of the two get-togethers, because people that are not from Minnesota probably don't realize that we do have two great Minnesota get-togethers: the Renaissance Fair and the State Fair.
Oh, I always
Now,
forget
I'm a
about Renaissance.
fan of the Renaissance Fair. That I love because
Yes.
it just reminds me of medieval things, and I like the giant turkey leg if we're talking about food.
Okay.
The whole deep fried goodness in the State Fair. Now we're going to like work out like a million times over. So turkey for me, Tom.
Okay.
You can
No,
chime in.
I like the Renaissance Fair. I've been there quite a few times.
Okay.
So I moved to Minnesota like in 2000.
Okay.
And I have to say, and I hope you don't, I've never been to the State Fair. I know.
Uh-oh.
Dramatic gasp.
No,
What do you mean, Tom?
I know. I feel ashamed now.
Okay, is it at all possible that 2025 is your year and you go this year?
I don't know.
Okay.
I'm not going to promise anything.
Okay.
It
all
might
right.
be. I might get out. It might be a beautiful day. I just might say, you know what? I'm going to go.
Yeah.
But I start going, and then the crowds just start coming.
Yeah.
And I had turned around and go, no, not today. Maybe
Not
I'll
today.
try it tomorrow.
Yeah, no, I hear you. I mean, it is kind of a zoo, right?
Yeah.
The key, I think, and I'm not even a big fair person, to be honest with you, but the key, I think, is to go early. Go as early as you possibly can.
Like
So
2 a.m.?
like 6 a.m., 6:30 a.m. Yeah. Where you can still see the pavement. So,
Yes,
yeah.
exactly.
Yes. Well, we are going to take a quick music break. I thank you again just so much for being here. And I can already tell by our intro, we're going to have a great conversation. You are listening to Power 104.7, your home for hip hop and R&B. We'll be back in a bit. All right, we are back. We had a great conversation here during the break and really getting into kind of the meat and the potatoes of what Malcolm and Tom do for this organization called the Redemption Project, or TRP, as I heard you say, as the acronym, right? So we're going to jump right into it. TRP, the Redemption Project, tell me kind of high-level overview, what is it? If someone, your 30-second elevator pitch, what is TRP?
Go ahead, Malcolm.
All right, so my 30-second elevator pitch would be TRP is a nonprofit that strategically focuses on reentry for both male and females into society to make sure that we actually holistically look at educating, supporting, mentoring, and employing these individuals, making sure that they know, as our company name might stand for, that there's redemption, there's a second chance, and not just, having them go through these justice impacted roles of incarceration and coming out and going, now what?
Yeah.
So we're kind of like that stopgap, and we pride ourselves in that.
Wow, that's amazing. I think that this, I was really excited to talk to you both today because I feel like this is a topic that folks don't know a lot about.
Right.
I feel like probably a large majority of us know someone who has probably been incarcerated, but we don't know the story that comes after that, like being released and what that looks like and the hardships and all of that. So I did kind of tease that up a little bit on social media as well as last week, just like this is a conversation you will not want to miss. And I hope that our listeners get a lot out of today. So when did this nonprofit get started?
Okay, I can address that. Basically, in 2017 is when it started. There were a number of individuals that were incarcerated. There was a gentleman that was incarcerated for a year for white-collar crime.
Okay.
And what he was scared to death when he went in. He said he didn't know what to expect. But when he got inside, he realized these are people inside.
Yeah.
These are individuals that made a mistake, and there's all kinds of people. It's just like any community. You have those that are fearful. You have those that are more like, this is what I'm going to do, and this is my life. I'm coming in and out, and that's the way I want to live. But then there's others that want to say, I don't want to come back here. I want to change. And so what happened was this individual that had the white-collar crime, he started talking to individuals like, what do you struggle with when you get out? And we found out all the different struggles, finding a job, finding housing, being able to have some kind of support system in place, like family, because you have individuals that have been incarcerated 14 or more years, and those have lost a lot of family and a lot of friends over those years. They're alone when they come out. So they need some type of support. Plus, what do they do about finding a job when you haven't worked, except for in the prisons? Yeah. We really haven't had a job for 14 or more years.
Yeah.
And will the company give you an opportunity knowing you have a background of being incarcerated? So that's where it started. It started there with what we call those incarcerated wanting to help those coming out of incarceration.
Okay. So let me ask this. You listed jobs, housing, support. What are some other things? Because I feel like those are kind of like the obvious things, of course, but what are some other things that would surprise our listeners that are hardships coming out?
So I'll give you a really quick 2-second snippet. I'm actually helping an individual right now, and the individual reminded me, which it always never ceases to surprise even me. He's like, technology and the world has changed. And I was like, explain. And he said, I have been locked down for, I believe, almost 35 years. And so I had to like mentally backtrack and go, oh, wow, he probably hasn't even seen a smartphone. And before I said that, he said that to me. He said, I don't even know about these phone things that I'm staring at right now.
Yeah.
So things we take for granted, individuals that are being released back into society have no way to even understand, let alone work it. We're still laughing about Gemini and AI and ChatGPT, and somebody doesn't even know how to like dial a phone number. He has never even seen the phone that we use right now.
Wow.
So that's how critical, like, us being there as a stopgap to actually try and help get these guys and girls back reintegrated properly into society is.
Let me ask this: what procedures are in place, if any, do the prison systems how do the prison systems try to reintegrate folks, or do they?
Okay, the prison systems do have programming.
Okay.
Programming are basically individual programs helping them, let's say, with addiction, or helping them with writing a resume, or helping them with learning history, or learning math. So a lot of different educational programs within prison. The problem with those programs is they start, they end, and they're done with you.
Okay.
The instructor is done, that pretty much you're on your own after that, right? So every program you have to kind of take on your own and use it the best you can. With our program, the reason we do it the way we do is you start on our education program, and once you graduate, you are a fellow. We call graduates fellows. You are a fellow for life. So we will be there to walk with you along the way. We're not going to let you go and say, hey, you graduated, good luck, have fun, hope you're doing well when you get out.
Yeah.
We follow them from while they're incarcerated all the way through to when they're released, getting a job. And even if they lose the job, come back to us and we'll help you again.
Yeah. So that's wonderful. So you really do stay with them.
Yes.
for as long as they want. What if someone says, you know what? Okay, it's been 3 years. I got the hang of this. I don't really need to come every day or go to the monthly meetings or whatnot. Is that okay?
So we actually look forward to that. That brings pride and joy into our hearts.
Okay.
Not because we won't still reach out to them, but that means there's growth, and our job, just like a parent, we've done our job.
Oh, wow.
Right? Because they're reintegrated into society. They're comfortable. They've shown us proof of this. And I couldn't be more happy. I could absolutely not be more happy. So we look forward to those conversations to say, I'm good. Thanks for everything you've done for me, but I can take it from here.
I can take it from here.
That's like music to my ears.
Yes,
then
exactly.
my conversation and Tom's conversation is, hey, every 6 months, what's up, Jim? What's up, Jessica? You want to hang out and just have a coffee and just talk?
Yeah.
Okay. If not, see you at the park. Like, we're happy. Like, this is why we do what we do, right? Is to make sure what people don't understand is, and the numbers, and Tom is more a numbers person, but I'll try and throw out some of the numbers that I know.
Yeah.
1 in 3 people are incarcerated in
1 in
America.
3.
The state of Minnesota itself.
Wait. Say that again. 1 in 3.
Have
been or are?
Either have been or know somebody that has been.
Okay.
1 in 3.
Okay, that's a really high number.
That's a high number.
Yeah.
Meaning these wonderful and not so wonderful individuals are going to be released every single day, every single week, every single month at some point. Our job is to hopefully give back to society really, really functioning, competent, secure, safe, wonderful individuals that we like to call fellows. Right?
Is this program only local? Is it
Right now, it is in our federal prisons in the state of Minnesota and the state prisons.
Okay.
Eventually, if we can get enough momentum going and enough funds, obviously, we would like to present it around the whole country.
Yeah, I mean, I could certainly see the benefits to being
Exactly.
a nationwide program. I want to get into it a little bit more, but before, can you believe it already? It's almost that time to pivot into from live to podcast mode. I want to ask you that the folks that work for the Redemption Project, right? So I believe with our conversation, Malcolm, you and I had previous conversations before. What's unique about the people who work at the Redemption Project?
So we put our money where our mouth is, so to speak. I think that's the phrase that's commonly used. 70% of us that work at the Redemption Project have experienced being justice impacted one way or another. Actually, if we call it justice impacted, I would say 100% of everybody working at the Redemption Project has had some kind of justice impacted encounter. However, we that work there, for the most part, like I said, 70% of us, we've actually walked this walk. We've gone and taken that left unfortunate turn that none of us ever wanted to take in our lives. And we actually ended up either in jail or in prison. And now we found purpose through that, right?
Yeah.
We found clear vision through that to say, this, especially for me, this will not happen to the next person under my watch. That is how I look at it.
Well, of course, while you're saying that, I've got to ask the question. Well, what happened? How were you justice impacted? Wait, don't answer that. Don't answer that, because we always leave with a cliffhanger. I want to turn to my listeners now and thank you so much for tuning into the live portion. If you liked this conversation and you want to know more and you want to hear the rest of this episode, check my YouTube channel in a couple days, Open Book with Nyia Harris on YouTube, and you can watch the full episode. I thank you so much for listening and taking part in this very important conversation. Again, you do not want to miss it. Check in a couple days. An Open Book with Nyia Harris on YouTube, and we'll be back in just a little bit, not for you listeners, but for us, to finish the conversation. So I thank you for listening today, and we'll see you next week. All right, we are back. We are in podcast mode, and we are with Malcolm and Tom. Thank you so much again for being here.
Sure.
So the question I left you with is, how were you, Malcolm and Tom, how were you justice impacted? Tom, you said you wanted to share.
I did want, because what I wanted to share is we have individuals in our program, and we accept anybody in our program, no matter what their crime. So we have if you can think of a crime, we have that individual in our program. And you could think of the worst crime or the not so bad crime, we have that individual. And that is who we are. So we do not talk about like individual crimes. We don't say this person did that, because all of a sudden you've put a label on them, right? And you've put a label on them based on some type of story you've heard in the past about that crime, or you don't know that individual's individual story on how they got there.
Right.
So what I mean is, we have done all the crimes. How did we get there? I was convicted back in 2011, right? I did 8.5 years. I did a 10-year sentence, right? Okay. Because in the eyes of justice, I broke the law, right? That's another area that we kind of help people to work through. What does it mean? Were you guilty or not? Right? Because there are individuals who says, I wasn't guilty. And another individual said, well, I didn't really do it, but I kind of took the blame for it. So we all have different reasons why we got in there.
Yeah.
What we talk about with our individuals is taking responsibility for what got you there. We don't know what got you there. We don't know what part you played, right?
Yeah.
And maybe somehow you were set up. But there's a reason you got there, and take responsibility and try to see what got you there and turn that story around.
Okay.
Accountability.
Yes. I'd like to push the envelope a little bit more, though, and because this is open book with Nyia Harris, right? And so if we're being honest and transparent about what has been done, do you willfully disclose that? Do you willfully disclose this is part of my past. This is what I have been accused of.
Right. There are certain times when I need to do that.
Okay.
There are certain times where it's appropriate for me to do that and to talk about it. But there's other times where it's more of the story isn't about my crime. The story is about how do we redeem those that made a mistake and want to turn their lives around. Okay. So it depends on the situation.
And I also think, just to chime in, I think. So we deal with individuals, and these are things that I've grown to learn, especially with the work that I do on a day-to-day basis. Trauma is real. And reliving trauma for some of our individuals, our fellows, guys and girls, starts down a path where we want to steer them not just necessarily into the positive, even though we do, but just to make sure that they're whole and healed first. So reliving some of that does bring up trauma for certain individuals, right?
Sure.
We want to make sure, that's why they go through an extensive program with us, 14 to 16 weeks of actual accountability, right? Owning up to, I did this. Again, you're not going to hear a doubt in Tom or mine's mouths to say, no, I didn't do what I did. No, we took a left turn that we should not have taken. We made a mistake.
Yeah.
Irregardless of how we want to classify that mistake, we did something wrong to have put us in that era outright. That's just what it is, right?
Yeah.
You have to own up to that.
Yeah.
I hurt people. I hurt my children. They lost a dad for 2 years that I was gone. I hurt my community that held me dear. I my job. So we did something clearly, right?
Yes.
And that's why I said before, under my watch, my fight is no one will take that left turn, because I'll make you aware now, right? Sometimes ignorance is the reason people do stuff. Not under our watch. We want to make sure that you understand what is that worst case scenario that can happen to you over something you think is trivial, or something that you think is not that important. No. The worst case scenario, if you play the tape to the end, just like one of my mentors used to tell me, always play the tape to the end. If you play that tape to the end, this little thing that you thought was just inconsequential, a white lie, could land you in prison behind bars.
Yep.
Well, let me ask this. I was going to ask, what does success from the program look like? And you touched on it a little bit before the break, but I want to ask in terms of, before I ask that question, recidivism, right?
Yes.
So how likely is it that will happen while in this program?
We like that number. I'll let Tom talk about it. Tom's the numbers person.
Yeah.
Recidivism, first of all, it's how you define recidivism.
Okay.
It is defined in so many different ways by the federal system, by each state. Each state kind of decides, here's what we consider recidivism, right? So you have to look at the numbers of what the state is saying. Our recidivism rate is, nationally, I think it's almost 60% recidivism.
Is that right?
Yes.
Wow.
And that means going back maybe for a new crime, parole violation. Also,
Okay.
could be a parole violation where you broke your parole and you were sent back, right? So that is their recidivism rate is really high at 60%. Minnesota's recidivism rate, they have two different numbers. They have a 38% going back for a new crime. In other words, 38% committing a new crime.
Okay.
Right? Out of that 38%, 20% or 23% go back to prison for it. So there is a 7% that maybe have done a new crime, but they weren't sent back for it. They were put on probation or whatever.
Okay.
Right?
Okay.
So their recidivism rate for a new crime going back into prison is about 23%.
Okay.
I haven't found a number of what their percentage of parole violators going back, because we keep track of both, right?
Okay.
But you look at their 23%. In the Redemption Project, right, we have over 280 participants in our program. About 170 have now been released, right? Our recidivism rate, including parole violators, right, is about 7%.
Oh, wow.
That's for parole violators and new crimes. If you look at just new crimes, we are at 4%.
So not even taking into account the national average, right? But the state average is 23% recidivism rate. And you're saying with your program, it's 7%.
If I compare it to the state, it's 4%.
It's 4%.
Oh, 4%.
Right, because 4% of our individuals have committed a new crime and were sent back to prison for that.
That is amazing.
Yes.
So the proof really is in the numbers, right?
So far, it's proven out. In the beginning, when our numbers were really low, we kept thinking, all right, our recidivism rate's kind of low, but we don't have a lot of guys yet, coming out. But as they keep coming out and our numbers grow and grow and grow, that number really stays about there. It pops up when someone goes back in, because if you're starting with a low number and one goes back, it really increases, But now, so it goes up and down and up and down and up and down. But we have always stayed within that 8% of total recidivism for new crime and probation, and about 4 to 5% for new crimes.
There's no other organization that does this. And this is why I was jumping up and down. I know this is a podcast, so people can't see my jumping and excitement and smiles.
It's recorded.
I am super excited with those numbers. Super excited.
That's amazing. That's amazing. I'm curious, just jumping back to the numbers for just a brief second. Do you break it down like by demographic to men, women, racial makeup, all of that?
Yes.
Okay.
We do. We keep track of a lot of different data. And the reason we do that is so that we can present to grants, because every grant program is asking you, we serve this population. Do you have numbers on that population?
Right.
And it could be anything from race to gender to age to what county they live in. So we have to keep track of all that data so that we can present it to the grant programs.
So, okay, let me ask this. So, been around since 2017. You have 280 participants. You have the numbers regarding recidivism. By all accounts, the program works, right?
Yes.
So if that's the case, shouldn't the state be jumping through the roof and saying, we found a program that works. Let's give them all the money. So, or unless you have all the money.
No. Not all the money.
So I'll start with this, and I know Tom will be able to fill in all the blanks that I miss out. So, yes, we know that we have a great product. We believe in it. We see the numbers and we see the proof of it. And yes, the state did believe in it before. And when I say before, because we have to vie for grants like every other nonprofit within the years and actually plead our case and show our numbers and everything else. Just because of circumstances, we are going through the federal funding that has been cut, so to speak. So now we are trying to be visual and vocal and expressing this to everybody, right?
Yeah.
We don't want to be a kept secret anymore. We want to be actually recognized and known for this hard effort and work that we're doing, and not just showcasing us as staff, but more so our fellows that we're helping. We want them to be front and center so that people understand this and actually look to help us continue to do this wonderful work that we do. And that's what we're trying to do right now.
Okay. Did you want to piggyback on that, Tom?
Well, no, he did really well on what he was explaining that, because in the past we have had some government funding through the state. We got a good grant 2 years ago, but because of budgets, because of the economy, those kind of grants go up and down.
Sure.
Government funding, you're almost praying each year, every 2 years, am I going to get it this year? Am I going to get it this year? Right?
Yeah.
So what we're trying to do is build a base of grants and foundations and corporations and individuals who will support the organization on a consistent basis.
Can I ask what that number is? Like, what is the number that you need on a yearly basis?
Oh, wow.
So, are you scared to say it? I'm not scared to say it.
Or let me say this. In a perfect world, what's the amount
that's
that you'd
why I said
like?
I'm not scared to say it. So we actually were ready to present to legislation the exact number. We were given $2 million for 2 years, and it was completely used exactly as it was meant to be used. And not only did we appropriate it correctly, we actually saved the state almost the same amount they gave us.
Is that right? Wow.
Yes. So we wanted to just literally ask for the exact same thing back. And then we found out that federal funding was cut.
Okay.
So again, that's what we have realized will actually sufficiently, because what happens is we grew exponentially, right? And to Tom's point, we started off with like 5 or 10. Now we're at 200 and something. We keep the same trajectory. Next thing you know, next year, we're looking at 400, 500 fellows coming out, because there's more than that come out every single day.
Yes.
But as fellows that have gone through our program that we're trying to support. So that's kind of what we're looking for. However, to be fully functional, at least even with like one leg versus two fully, planted down, we will even take half of that. We just want to make sure that we keep doing what we are doing for our fellows. That's the bottom line. That literally is the bottom line.
It is.
Okay.
So we were looking for 2 million, another $1 million a year to keep going, but that is only to sustain what we were doing. It doesn't help us grow.
Sure.
Right. So we were actually asking for more than that. I think we asked for 5 million.
Okay.
Total, because we want to be able to grow. We want to help more individuals and grow this program.
Sure. So bare minimum 2 million, but in a perfect world, 5 million.
Exactly.
Okay. There might be a wealthy benefactor out there listening to this saying, like, let me write the check, right?
Exactly.
So it's important to ask those questions. So thanks for indulging me there. So we mentioned before that this is just a statewide program, but it most certainly should be rolled out to other states. Have you had other states reach out to you and say, hey, we know what you're doing. Can you bring that here, or can we adopt that? What have those conversations sounded like?
We have heard from other states that have been interested in our program, how it works. Is there a way to bring it to our state, let's say, especially some of the neighboring states that are really close to us.
Sure.
The
Dakotas.
Right. And we had planned. We said our plan is to try to do that. But as you know, money, you can't do things unless you're able to pay individuals to do it.
Yes.
Right. And none of us are getting rich off of this. Malcolm and I do not. We make enough to be able to live. We make enough to be able to help our families, pay our rent, pay our mortgage, buy a car. We do get enough to do that.
Right.
But we're not getting rich at all on this. Right. We are doing it because, in fact, Malcolm and I, because we both are in the IT world, we could actually make more money outside of doing this. We really could, because of our skill sets, right? We both have IT skill sets that we could take, move on, and make a lot more money.
So wait a second. You're telling me that your backgrounds could leverage you more money in IT than what you're doing now, but you choose to continue to do what you do now.
Exactly.
Why is that?
Because I believe in this product. I watched this program grow from the inside. I was one of the first. We had 2 cohorts in the Rochester Federal Medical Center, right? I was in the second cohort. That was back in 2019, right? In that cohort, there were 20 of us. In each cohort, there's 20 of us, right? That cohort, to me, it was amazing because of how diverse it was. I have a master's degree in software engineering. There were other individuals in that program that just received their GED. They didn't have any kind of education. But I learned from them. I was amazed at the things that they brought up, because in the Socratic method of teaching, right, it's all about opening up and talking about your experiences and what you're learning and how you see things. And what was amazing to me is individuals that I learned that I've said this to many times, we were so diverse in religion, race, age, education, where we grew up, whether it's the city or the state or the the suburbs or a farm. There was nothing we had in common except we were incarcerated. That's the only thing we had in common. Huh. And yet we all talked within the class and helped each other and cared about each other. And when I saw that, I realized I really want to be involved in this.
Wow. Wow. There's so much that could be said about that, right? That's one area of our society, right? What if we did that on a bigger scale?
Exactly,
right?
exactly.
So, did you want to chime in on that, Malcolm?
And honestly, our board was talking about that scalability, right? Just literally scalability. For me, it was easy. The answer to the first question that you asked, Tom, was purpose. I realized this was purpose for me, right? Because I'd never encountered that left turn and done something that would put me in anything closely remotely to jail or prison. Nothing even close.
Squeaky clean record, huh?
Yeah, I tried to do that, and then when it happened, I was like, what can I do? After I got over the curled up in a fetal position for like days on end, I was like, what can I do to not just learn from this, but to help somebody else learn from this, right? And I think that's the father in me, the innate, immediate parental thing. I was like, what can I do, right? And then it became very clear. To Tom's point, there's a huge, vast majority of people that are just as impacted that don't even have a GED. And I was like, that's saying something right there.
Yeah.
Like this, I'm not saying what they did is right, but if you're not even educated enough to even know right from wrong, that's a problem in itself.
Yes.
Right? Someone needs to teach you this. So it was easy for me to understand what my purpose was. I need to help people to see, to learn, to understand so that they don't make these mistakes, right? It's easy for people to sit there and just go, oh, they're, incarcerated, so they must have done something bad. That's because you know better. Some of these guys and girls don't know better.
Sure.
It's your job to teach them, because guess what? They're still coming out. They're going to be your neighbors. They're still going to be the people you bump into the grocery store with. They're still going to come out. So it's your job to make this world truly a better and safer place. It's my job. That's my mission. That's my purpose. It was very clear to me. To Tom's point, degrees up the wazoo, IT, masters, have it. Didn't matter. It's just like my job is to make sure my kids understand life and get a better life. It's my job to make sure these fellows understand life and get a better life. That's it.
Yeah.
That's simple.
Really, truly a second chance.
That's simple.
Yeah.
That's
simple. What does success look like? We talked about it a little bit earlier, but what does success look like to you in this program?
So I'll start with one. This is proud parent time, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
This is proud parent time. We have a bunch of our fellows, not just one, but we have a fellow right now that is making so much money that even I am like, okay, maybe I should go work for where I sent this dude, right? So we have employment partners that have been kind to us and gracious to us and have actually helped. But that means nothing if our fellow does not do what they say they want to do and claim to do. So this fellow went there, showed up, was given the opportunity, and proved everybody wrong and himself right. And he's making well in excess of 6 figures and continues to be like plastered all over their media and everything about how he is just like the God sent to their company and everything. And we take the credit for it, but it has nothing to do with us.
No.
It has absolutely nothing to do with us.
Yeah.
He did what he said he was going to do. That's simple.
That's amazing.
I do. I have one story also.
Yes.
One of the individuals in my class, he was telling us, he's in his 30s, late 30s, right? He was involved in drug dealing. He grew up in the inner city. He said he never had a real job in his life, right? And he also used to think his father was a chump, because his father worked 9 to 5, worked hard for the family, was making a little over minimum wage to try to take care of the family. And he was making 10 to 20 times that selling drugs.
Sure.
So he used to think his father was a chump doing this. What he realized was his father was a hero, because his father kept the family together. His father supported them. His father gave them opportunities. And then he realized this is what he wants to do for his kids. He wants to be able to do the same thing. But he said, I never held a real job. How do I do this?
Yeah.
Right? So he learns, I think he took a program in carpentry. And he took a program in plumbing, trying to get some kind of a skill set, right?
Yeah.
He came out was it 2 years ago?
2 years ago.
He came out 2 years ago, right? He got a job. I think he was in cabinet making just to get started. He was at the bottom floor, but he really wanted to get into plumbing. After working for about 6 months hard at this job, he got an opportunity in plumbing, right? And you got to understand, he just got his plumbing license.
Yeah.
He's never done it as a full-time job.
Sure.
But now he's considered one of the best employees of this plumber. He's gotten accolades from them because of the work he does, his work ethic, and now he's showing the example to his kids what it means to really take care of a family. And that, to me, when I hear that story, I know this individual personally. It is like that is success. And these two stories are not the only two.
Sure.
These go across a lot of our fellows that have realized that they can come out and really make a difference in their lives, their families' lives, the community, the state. It's amazing that one person can take their life and they can show multiple people how you can change.
They made a policy at work because of him. And it's a policy because of time. I'm going to tell you really quickly what it is. He went to do a plumbing job, and he realized in that moment that this family that he was fixing their house could not afford this. He knew just by looking around and by interacting that it was a single mom with multiple kids, and he knew they could not afford this. He completed the job, did not take a fee, and went back to his company and told his boss what he did and said, I'm okay if you garnish my wage or do something to me, but I had to do this. His boss turned around and called everybody into a meeting and changed policy and said, if we encounter a family that cannot afford it, start from now to do this for the family.
Yep.
Wow.
And this is one of our fellows, graduates that are in our program.
Yeah.
And the impact now that he is having.
Yeah.
I guess I'll cry later.
I know.
I got chills from both of those stories.
Know.
Okay, so I told you this time was going to go really fast, by the way. With about 5-6 minutes to go, I mean, I'm inspired. So how do people help? How does the average Joe help?
Well, the average Joe can go to www.redemptionproject.org. It tells our story. It shows a lot of information on there about being a mentor, being a support partner, but also donating to this cause. Because we really, in order for us to be able to continue, we really do need to find funds. This is really, I mean, like I said, we're not in here to make money. We're taking this money to be able to help those, to be able to do the stories that we just told you.
Wow.
I want to take it a little bit further, and I know Tom's probably not even heard this, and I'm hoping that even our chairman and our board, if they watch or listen to this, will not go, what did Malcolm just say? But to show people that we're not in here for funds, the things that we give our individuals on a day-to-day basis, if people come forward and say, guess what? We can't afford to give you money, but we'll buy, all the hygiene and all the clothes and all the boots and all the things that you normally give to these guys, we'll get that for them. By all means, do it.
Yes.
By all means.
Oh, so you would take in-kind donations as
Oh,
opposed
yes.
to...
Absolutely. It has nothing, and I repeat, nothing to do with Tom or myself or our organization. It is all for the people that we support. We want to make sure, and we're not giving them handouts. We just want to make sure that the foundation, just like a house, is built sturdy.
Yes.
Which is what justice-impacted individuals do not get, and most of the population does not understand. When they come out, they get, for the most part, nothing. And we expect that they should be successful. They're not going to be. This is why the recidivism numbers are horrible. And ours are decent because we stand by them. We walk that walk. Sometimes it's even just the phone calls, the mentorship, right?
Yeah.
Somebody wants to just lose it and they just don't know what to do. But you're there for them to dial your number and be like, I don't need anything from you. I just want to scream into this phone at you. By all means, scream away.
Yes.
By all means, scream away.
I can't just, I mean, I'm just still kind of reeling from the stories that you've told. And I'm just thinking about how society as a whole kind of like throws people away.
Yes.
And I might try to keep it together.
Yeah.
And that gives me hope
Yeah.
for the future.
It does.
So, yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Thank you.
That's what we do.
That's what we do. I mean, the thing is, I would always tell individuals is please do not judge individuals that are incarcerated because of what you've seen on TV, stories you've seen of the extreme, because there are extreme individuals. There are those that really do need to be, they may need to be incarcerated. They may need to be in for life. There are individuals like that. But that is a small percentage compared to the individuals that have families that made a mistake. And I would ask you, every single one of the people listening here, have you ever made a mistake, whether you were a teenager or adult or whatever, and you thought, thank God I didn't get caught for that?
Sure.
Right?
I think that's probably every single person out there, isn't it?
Honestly, I do.
Jeez.
I do. It really is. So.
Yeah.
I'm so sorry. I was trying to keep it together. You saw.
You were doing a good job for a while.
But here's the thing. This is how we feel every day. Like, I'm going to feel this way tomorrow because I have to take 2 more fellows that just got released out. And just even watching their body language when I say the words, congratulations, welcome home. It's shocking how just little words like that matter to somebody. Like, you can just see it in their body. They've never heard it. Nobody's ever told them that. Like, just something that simple. Congratulations, welcome home. It just mind-blowing. Mind-blowing.
It really is.
Wow. Okay. So, a couple deep breaths here for me. Tom, let me ask this before I close out. And any last thoughts, anything you want to leave the listeners, the watchers with? And really quick before you answer that too, you briefly shared earlier during the break that there's a gala that's going to happen. You don't have the date or any of the details or whatnot, but how could people even support that gala? Because I'm sure once you have all of the details, you'll probably have that on your website and whatnot. But like, how can people support that gala once that's all lined up?
Like Malcolm was saying, there's a lot of ways to support us, right? Obviously, funds are needed. So if you could donate any kind of fund on our website, that would be fantastic.
Okay.
And you could designate where you would want these funds to go. Like Malcolm was saying, when someone comes out, we spend probably about $1,500 per person to help them get started.
Okay.
You know, we give them a $200 gift card for them to use as they want. We help them buy some clothes because they come out with nothing on their backs, most of them. I'm not saying everyone comes out this destitute, but there's a lot that come out with nothing, right? So we help them get clothes because you're going to a job interview. You don't want to sit there in a T-shirt and a pair of jeans that you got from prison and you haven't had a time to wash because it's the only pair of clothes you have.
Right.
You're in a halfway house, right? So we help them buy clothes. We help them get hygiene. We help them to buy a phone. We also show them how to use a phone because a lot of them don't know how. So that cost is just a bare minimum of about $1,500 per person.
Okay.
So, I mean, even if you were to say, I want to give $1,500 towards a person's, coming out, we want to help.
Yeah.
And you can also, really quickly for time, when you go to our website, all of our credentials and seal of transparency is there. So we've been vetted as a company. So, people can see the authenticity of it. But also, each of our staff are on that website with our emails, with our phone numbers. So you can reach out to Tom directly. You can call me directly. You can reach out to our CEO, Dwight Tossenson, directly. You can reach out to anybody that works within the Redemption Project directly. So if, let's say, you say, Malcolm, I can only give you 10 pillowcases, whatever, call us, email us. So that's another way.
Whatever you can get. Sounds like every little bit helps.
Oh, absolutely.
Thank you both so much. I knew this was going to be an eye-opening conversation. I did not know I was going to cry, but I'm just inspired. I really am, and I really hope the listeners and watchers are also inspired. What a great cause. Give what you can, in-kind donation, money, whatever you're able to. We were talking earlier about Give to the Max, end of November. So please keep this organization in mind when it's Give to the Max time. So again, thank you, Malcolm. Thank you, Tom.
Thank you, Nyia.
Next week's guests, I have Deborah, Francis, and Akila from Arise Credit Union. They've got a story, again, you won't want to miss. It has been my absolute pleasure to be your host of Open Book with Nyia Harris. I appreciate you tuning in today, and have a great day. Thanks.